we need to do pre-processing. This is a very important step with the knowledge discovering databases process. Oftentimes you might hear that 80 to 90% of the work that we do is to prepare the data for mining. And the actual data mining is only 10 to 20%. We can't simply do this. It's not going to work unless the data is prepared correctly. So, for example, you've seen earlier in the medical data, there were 2 dashes. 2 values are missing. If we're not ready for that, our mind might just crash and not give any result. So either we have to tweak our program to ignore this data or handle it somehow, or we need to fill in the missing data, or we just need to remove this data altogether so it's not going to spoil the rest of the data. In any situation, the data has to be prepared before we do the actual mining. The missing data is just one piece. There are a lot of other things we need to do to prepare the data for mining. For example, let's look on the next slide. So, to prepare for mining, the first thing here, this is step 1. Step 2, pre-processing. Supply missing values. That's the first thing we need to do. So, pre-processing, missing values. Next, eliminate noisy data. So there could be some data which is considered noise. Noise means that the data is either it's incorrect, so somebody typed in a wrong number. Let's say most of our customers is of age between 20 and 55. And all of a sudden there is a customer whose age is 130. Or maybe it's 230. You're like, what is that? Is it possible it could be possible he's 130 years old, but 230, is that possible? This is called noise, because it's contaminating the purity of the data, so to speak. Is it possible he's 230 years old? It might be possible. Even if it was possible, we need to remove this guy from the data. Because he doesn't look like the rest of our guys, and he's skewing the results. He just looks weird. We have to search from this outlier type of noisy data and remove them. Normalized values. We have same situation. Some of the data looks abnormal. Normalize the values. We will spend more time on this next time. But let's see. Step earlier. Slides are switching by themselves. So we have some data. Let's say age, and say age and education. And then we have some objects. So these are our customers. And most of them are here. Now, the values for age and education, this one is from 0 to 10. This one is from 0 to 5. But then we have some other description of these customers that is like from 0 to 5 million. So most of the descriptions from 0 to 10, from 0 to 5, from 0 to 12, from 0 to 20, but not only one of them is up to 5 million. That's not good. If we're trying to plot these objects in the space, this one is going to give us some trouble. So we want to do something to normalize it. Normalize the value, which means make it look normal. Make it look like everything else, because this is way off. So we will just map it into some lower numbers. Let's say from 0 to 1 million, we will say 1. From 1 million to 2 million, we'll say 2. From 2 million to 3 million, we'll say 3. And then it'll just look like this. And it will look normal. All of these things are pre-processing. All these things are something that we need to do. Otherwise, our data mining algorithm will not run, or it will run incorrectly, or it will produce results that don't make any sense. We might have to transform values. That's partially what I just said. Transform them into some domain. Or let's say we can create intervals of values. If there are too many values that we care about, we can say, if the value is from 0 to 1, put it in the first interval. If it's from 1 to 2, in the second interval. Anything in between, I don't care about it. That's too much information. So we might have to do some sort of transformations to make our mining work. Sometimes we are even creating a whole new attributes based on the attributes that we already have, but for the most part, we don't want to do that. We are trying to reduce the data and not create more data, unless it's absolutely necessary. This is probably the most important thing. Find the important attributes and value ranges. So here we have transform values, create additional attribute of find the important attributes. Because if we find the important attributes, then we can remove the ones that are not important, and that will help us because it will decrease the amounts of data that we have to go through, and it might improve the results for one of our algorithms that we use. So find the important ones and stick with them and get rid of everything else. That's part of the pre-processing. So what is the next step? The next step is the actual data mining. Once we have prepared the data for mining, done all of these things, clean it up, make it look beautiful, transform all the crazy values, remove all the weird objects and everything else that we don't like, we are now ready for data mining. So the step 3 will be data mining. In data mining, we'll extract patterns, trends, and build models from the data. So this data mining will take 10 to 20% of our time. The pre-processing will take most of our time. Once we're done with the data mining, we have more work to do. Because what? Because valid, potentially useful, novel, understandable. We have to check the results for all these things. If they don't fall in these categories, we remove them. So after we're done mining, we have to interpret and evaluate the knowledge. So we're doing post-processing. This was pre-processing, this is post-processing. So number 4 would be interpret and evaluate the discovered knowledge. We are doing post-processing, which means we're going to sift through the results, and if we find something that does not fall into the definition of KDD, or it's not valid, it's not useful, it's not interesting, or it plain is not understandable, it doesn't make any sense, we will remove that.